Okay.
I just want to say that today we went over being thankful and count our blessings. We really live. And when I read them some Bible verses, they answered every question right. I think we found a place for it. Okay, Norma, who's gonna give the account on, who's gonna give the account on city drop?
I have the one for the women and Roger has the one for the men. And women today got 6104 and the total for the year for the ladies is 144.68.
Okay, Roger, what you got?
Well, I have some surprising news. Since we changed the way we count this stuff, the men amount was $91.02, which put us 8 cents ahead.
Well, you probably counted wrong.
8 big cents.
No, you're wrong.
Well, last count, we was like $50 behind if I remember.
You're just
For
8
the
cents
year
ahead.
is $144.76.
You're just 8 cents ahead, so that's not enough.
This is the men, this ain't the women.
Who's doing the calculator?
Roger.
Norma and Roger.
Well, Roger probably counted his wrong, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
They, each one of them counts it, and then they switch and counts the other way, make sure they're right.
Well, they didn't do that.
We didn't have time to do that.
Roger was good that time.
There you go. Oh, Lord.
Roger hurried up and threw his
I
stock in the
watched
Bible.
Jim Norman had her shoes off, so I know she took them off to be cheap.
He hurried up and threw his stock in the back, so I couldn't see.
Most trusting church I've ever been in.
We are 8 cents ahead right now.
Good.
I'm not gonna amount to anything.
Can y'all beat 8 cents?
I forgot to put mine in today. I was busy cleaning up mess.
Oh, give it to me now and I'll add it to it.
Well, you didn't either, because Chuck looked
Are y'all gonna sing a song before we call the choir? Roger, call the choir? What choir, would you please come forward?
Jesus, in the stars, where he sprang.
Savior in anguish calls. Father, oh Father, forgive them now. Came the cry from the middle cross. Oh, the man on the middle cross was my Lord, dying to save me from loss. Sinless and blameless, I see him now, looking down from the middle cross.
Bless you. Good job. you.
I'll see the lights of glory and honor he lives. Because he lives, I can face tomorrow. Because he lives, all fear is gone. Because I know he holds the future, and life is worth a living just because he lives.
Amen. Good job. Good job.
When no heartache shall come, no more clouds in the sky, no more tears in the eye, all is peace forevermore on that happy golden shore. What a day, glorious day that will be. What a day that will be, when my Jesus I shall see, and I look upon his face, the one who saved me by his grace. When he takes me by the hand and leads me through the promised land. What a day, glorious day that will be.
Bless you.
It's a good place to be today.
Bless you, Gary.
I'm thankful for the Lord's work, what he's done for me and my family, what he's done for each and every one in the church. Like that song, because he lives.
Gary, I just put his hand up.
Bless you, Herb.
Because he lives, I live. I heard his hand. My couple of the door, my couple of the door. My sex boy, crazy thing. Oh, baby. Goes to bubble it. I started out. What if he came off of that cross? We would have had no. But he stayed on that cross. I thought also about the angel. Was the angel waiting for his call? I don't think so, because they know that he was going to stand. Glory.
Amen. Good job.
Anybody else with testimony?
What
Just
makes
can't
me feel like
contain
standing
myself. Hey, glory, glory.
Bless you.
Yeah, it makes me feel like standing up. You know, you don't hear testimonies like that much anymore.
No.
You know, and if that don't put some fire in you, there ain't nothing going to.
Bless
You
you.
know, the Lord is good to us. I was listening to a song on the way up here this morning called Live Like You Were Dying. Well, we need to live like we're dying because
True.
every day we're closer. And you better be prepared because God has got something planned for us like we have never seen and never will see on this earth. So, you know, I thank him, and I'm like Kurt, I praise him, and I love him. And I want to give him all the glory because he deserves it all. Bless you.
Man.
Anybody else this morning? You know, I'm thankful, you know, after looking over here and see Brother Gary laying in that casket, you know. Knowing today's, I looked down through here and see him
Yep.
asking to pray.
Yep.
When he prayed, chill bump was not funny, because
That's right.
the presence of the Lord was in this church. You know, I miss him with all my heart.
Bless you, Gary.
You know, me and Norm was talking, you know, we pray every night. Good Lord to watch over them, take care of them, be with their church.
Amen.
I got my son's lost. I just love someday to give me a call and say, Dad, I got saved.
Sure.
Anybody else?
Job.
I thought tonight about Gary, job with it.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I hate to have to say that. You know, we think about Gary, the spoke was broken in their wheel yesterday. And that family, the spoke was broken. As far as the church goes, Gary was faithful to the church, he was a man that, I love Gary's prayer. I mean, he could pray the awful prayers of a blood. But we lost Gary a long time ago. You know, we just didn't lose him yesterday. It wasn't no sudden thing. We lost him 2 or 3 years ago. But he still was, when he was down to the house, he still had a mind to come to church. Even though he turned around back home, he still wanted to come. You know, but I loved him. You know, Gary was a good man. And we gotta praise people that's good in this life and hold up Jesus Christ. So Jesus Christ is the one we're gonna face, and he knows the answer to everything. He knows the answer to all the questions in my life, he knows all about my life. But,
Amen.
We've got to live to please him this morning, and I wanna praise him this morning for life, for waking me to another day, and bringing me up here to worship Jesus Christ. And, you know, like I said this morning, we all got a purpose in life. We may not know what it is, but we've got a purpose in life to serve Jesus Christ. That's worth that this morning. And I'm glad of the choir this morning. You sound good.
True.
And I tried to please her this morning.
Amen.
And that's what we're supposed to do. We try to please one another and keep them happy this morning. Because we don't know the day nor the hour when we're going to have to shut our eyes and dance. But I want to be ready to meet him when
True.
I have to lay down. That's the main thing this morning in my life, is be ready to meet him. And I always try to keep the ends up on it, Roy, by asking him if I've done anything wrong, or said anything wrong, or committed any sin, or if there's anything would keep me out of the kingdom. Look down on me, Lord, and forgive me for it. I do that every day, you know. He might get tired of hearing it, but I want to be ready, and I want to keep myself covered under the blood. That's where it's at this morning. We got to be covered by the blood of Jesus Christ. But I ask you to pray for me. I want to live right, do right, but most of all, I want to finish up right.
That's right.
And boy, you done a good job.
Anybody else for you? Bless you, Lord.
Thank you.
I'm looking for a heavenly home myself. I don't know about the rest of you. I'm waiting for that day when you call me and says you're welcome, and that's what I'm looking forward to. I try to do the best I can each and every day. Like Roger said, I get up every morning, and I praise his holy name,
Thank you.
and I ask him to forgive me if I do anything that day. Please forgive me, because I know that I'm gonna make some mistakes. No matter what you do, you're gonna make mistakes each and every day. But it gets less and less for me, because every morning I get up, I go outside and I talk to the Lord, then I come in and I read my Bible.
God bless you.
And I get a blessing out of reading my Bible anymore. I used to not think too much about it. I'd read the Bible, but I didn't thought too much about it. But now, it's a different thing. I'll sit down and read, and sometimes I don't want to quit reading, but my eyes get so bad I can't see, I have to quit. But I just want to thank him for what he does
Amen.
for us each and every day. Bless this little church that we go to.
Bless you.
Thank you for calling the Lord. Let me tell you, without this place, I don't know where I would have been today.
Bless you.
I have walked the streets, been there, done it all. As Roy says, it hadn't been done, it hadn't been invented yet. But let me tell you, I want to praise his holy name, because let me tell you, there's a day coming,
Yeah.
I'll get to see him.
Yeah.
And brother, I'm telling you, I'm waiting for that day when I can reach out and touch him and know that he's there with me. Praise the Lord.
Amen.
Thank you. Bless you.
Bless God. Thank you.
I'm thankful for this, Lord.
Bless you, Lord.
Thankful for what I've heard. And I enjoy
Right.
gonna be in that kingdom. I believe we'll see him again. And I'm thankful that I got to know him. I'm thankful that I got to be in this church with this bunch of people. The people since we have been here, there's been several of them that have died. But you know, there's been people to come in that has replaced, you know, and this is God's people. And I feel like Jesus died on the cross, not just for this bunch of people, he died for us all, no matter where we're at throughout the land. Talk about your son. I've got lost children too, and it puts a heartache in your heart, and we can't do it for them. But you know what? I tell them, they might get tired of hearing it, but I tell them they need the Lord. And I never forget to pray for my children and others. I pray for your son too, and I know you pray for mine. And that's what this bunch of people do. We look out for one another. I pray for all of my friends and people in our church, their prayer requests. I may not be able to remember them individually, but I'll say, Lord, all the prayer requests, I can't remember them all, but you know what they are, you know the needs of the people. And I feel like that's as best I can do, because my mind's not as good as it used to be about remembering everything. But I am so thankful for the privilege of being able to stand here and say I love the Lord. And I do truly love the Lord with all my heart.
Bless you. Bless you.
I want to just stand and praise my Jesus today. He brings you through the good times, the bad times,
Right.
different question problems we have. I want to thank Lloyd, because I think each one of us as a Christian has to do our part. We all have a good news message, not
True.
just Roy to tell us, but all of us as Christians.
Right.
And we need to share that with others. Y'all.
Bless you.
Anybody else?
Talk about scary. He's on, before he went to the nursing home. He was down there one day, I blowed at him, come out, opened the church door, started sweeping. He come in and sit down in his little place over. He said, where's everybody at? He was a good Christian man.
Somebody like that, there's people out there that won't even come, if they got a card to drive to church. You know, I think, death has no age. You know, as I get older each day, I love life,
Right.
it's special,
Right.
and I want to be with the Lord, I want to see him one day,
Right.
but, every day is just a special day,
True.
Like I said, you may get up and may not feel like going to church or something, but the Lord gets you up, you better go, There's no promise tomorrow.
Bless him.
There's a day coming when they'll all be trying to see and talk to him. But he's gonna come.
I just pray for everybody in church before they leave the same
I
time.
do too.
If there's anybody here is lost and don't know the Lord, please don't wait as long as I did. Like Roy said, just say, well, I wish I'd done it sooner. It's just ignorance in my behalf. I thought I had everything in the world was all I had, But until I found the Lord,
Bless.
that was it.
Bless.
Anybody else?
Job.
Well, Gary, I want to stand up.
Hey, man.
My Lord and Savior, I'm thankful for that hope that I have for eternal life.
Bless you, Shirley.
You know, we're all saddened by passing our brother. But he has a hope. You know, we went to a revival earlier in the week where the preacher preached on a hope chest. Don't know how many of you have heard that. I thought about that down there yesterday. Gary is locked away in his hope chest. You know, the preacher, he told us the Hebrew word for coffin. I can't remember what it was. He said, coffin translated meant locked away, we're God's treasure, and we're locked away in God's hope chest. He said for those that die lost, they're in a casket. You know, that stuck with me. I said her this morning, well, I told Misty about it, I think 2 different times, but I said her this morning telling her that I wish that she could have heard that. The way he explained that. It stuck with me. You know, that's what I'm looking for.
Sure.
I want to be locked away in God's hope chest. And I just thank him, and I praise him for everything he does to preach.
Oh, man. Amen.
I guess I've got to say that about Gary. The last time I saw Gary, I had to walk him home from church. And he looked at me and he said, "Butch, I can make it from here." Well, he's in that old grave, and he could make it from
That's
there.
right.
And
That's
he's
right.
gonna be there. I just love hearing. I could hear him pray.
Yep.
It bring tears to my eyes. It's sad to be how he could pray so humbly. I wish God would give me that gift. But I want to get in this morning, if I can, in the 3rd chapter of Colossians. And as I was reading and studying last night, there was a couple of things that came to my mind in this chapter. The first thing is, if you think about the 3rd chapter of Colossians, and if you'll read it, it's kind of like a road map. It tells you all the things that you can do and should do as you go through your Christian life. But then I was also thinking, look at all these big words that's in here. And I think about these big words, and I call them $2 words. A lot of people will read them, but they don't understand them. It's like Herb and I talked this morning. As you read your Bible, it's better to read one verse and understand than read the whole chapter and don't know what you've read. Think about what he's saying here this morning. Now I want you to think this morning as I go about this, and I want you to think about what Paul is trying to tell us here, what he's trying to say to us here, and think about the things that he's telling us. And we start here in the 3rd chapter. He says, "If ye then be risen with Christ, seek ye those things which are above, where Christ sitteth on the right hand of God. Set your affections on the things above, not on the things of the earth. For ye are dead, in your life is hid with Christ in God." When we think about this morning, what kind of realistic hope do we have this morning? What is our hope and our desire this morning as we come to the church this morning? My desire is one day to be with Jesus Christ. My desire is one day that I'll be in heaven with Jesus Christ. And we have to have that desire each morning. We have to have the desire to get up each morning and come to church. We have to have the desire to get up each week and come to church. We have to have desire. If we don't have desire, we don't have nothing.
Help it.
We have to have desire. We lose our desire sometimes. We get to sitting back and we just, I don't want to go. It's like Roy said. Roy has taught me so much. But you come in on church on Sunday morning and he sat down in this pew and said, "Man, I've been to church today. I was there 2 hours. I was there 2 hours. How many hours in a week? How many hours is in a week each week? We can only give him 2 hours a week." Think about that this morning. I'm sorry, but my nose is running this morning. But he tells us, "For ye are dead, your life is hid with Christ." Gary's dead this morning, but he's prepared to meet Christ. I know in my heart Gary is prepared. Are we prepared to meet Christ this morning? If you're here this morning and you're not living right, you don't have your heart set with Jesus Christ, what if this morning when you go out of this church He stepped out on them great clouds and calls us all home. How many of us is going to go home with him this morning? Are we going to go home with him this morning? I ask you. Are you really truly in your heart? He knows what's here.
Amen.
He says, when Christ who is our life shall appear, then shall you also appear with him in glory. Now you just think about that. We lay this old body, we think about our old bodies, and we think about the thing. You look at poor old Gary, he had a dementia.
Right.
You look at the people that have cancer each day. You look at the people that have heart attacks each day. You look at the people that have tumors each day. You think about all the bad things we have in this world today, but I want you to think about all the good things we're going to have one day. He's going to give us a new body, a brand new body. We won't have scars all over us everywhere. We're all going to go to be. There won't be no more shedding of tears because you have to look in that casket and see someone laying there dead. My wife and I went to a funeral here not too long ago, and we looked in that casket. How can you stand up here and say he's going to go to heaven? We're not his judge. We're not her judge. I look at the caskets today and I watch it. In Ethel, unfortunately, we have to go to a lot of funerals.
Help us, Lord.
And I lay there and I look at people. We was at a funeral the other day, and God forgive me, but they was playing rap music at a funeral. Think about that this morning. How far we have gotten away from Jesus Christ.
Help! Help!
We got so far away from
Help!
Him, we just want to come in and we want to sit down.
Help!
Boys, Lord, I love to brag. I was at church Sunday.
Help!
And the biggest these big old fancy churches, half of them can't even tell you who's sitting beside them this morning. They don't even know. They don't even care.
Help!
That's not going to get you anywhere. He said, mortify, therefore, your members which are upon the earth, fornication, uncleanliness, inordinate affection, evil concupiscence, covetousness, which is adultery. You think about mortify. You look at this word. You read over those words. You just read over them. You don't think about what they mean. Mortify is to subdue by self-denial or just get it out. Or discipline. So he's telling us we got to stay away from fornication. We all know what fornication is. We know what it is. Uncleanliness, inordinate affection, evil concupiscence. There's one of them $2 words. Concupiscence. Evil desire or lust. In a simple way. Think about that this morning. How much evil desire and lust is there in this world today? You think about people, I hear people talk all the time. And I think about desire. And it's like we've often said here before. We desire so much in this world. What I desire is what the Lord has given me. He has given Ethel Sue and I more than I have ever asked for. He has given each and every one of us here in this church this morning more than we've ever asked for. We have a car to drive. We can come to church. We can go home. We've got a house that's warm and cool. We have food to eat. We have everything we need. What more do we need? What more do you want? You know, we all have desires. I have desires, as we all do. For which these things sake the wrath of God cometh on the children of disobedience. Now think about our children today. And I've often said we have failed our children. We haven't all failed our children, and that's not what I'm trying to say. Here's a good example of the way we do with our children today. Little Mary's going through Walmart. She wants a bag of candy. No, Mary, you can't have that. Well, little Mary starts throwing them, flopping around in the floor and all that stuff. Instead of picking them up, taking them to the bathroom and correct them like they need to be corrected. Oh, here's your 2 cookies, honey. It'll be all right. That's what's wrong with Christians today. We think everything's going to be all right, and it ain't going to be all right unless we do the things that He tells us to do. We're not doing the things that He tells us to do sometimes. My heaven sakes alive. And that which you also walked sometime when you lived in them. But you now put off all these: anger, Anger. I'll stop at anger. How many of us gets angry every day? Nobody gets angry, do they? Well, I'll tell you right now, you put me in the car and start down the interstate and get some guy doing 55 in the fast lane, I'm mad. I ain't gonna lie to you. We all get angry. We all get mad. But we have to learn to control our anger. We have to learn to say, okay, look, I can't run over the guy, because God knows I would if I could. But it's the things we think about. I think about being angry with people we know. Sue was talking yesterday. We had to do a little project, and everybody around my wife and I when we're doing a little job. It's not very good. It usually ends up with one of us in another room and the other one calms down. But I think about anger, okay? But we'll come out of that room, we'll come out and eventually we'll say, now you know I love you. And we do. We love each other. I would never see any harm come to anyone in this world. But you think about that though. When you're angry, you have to be careful. Because when you're angry, you've got something that's sharper than a two-edged sword that can cut you right down to the bone and never touch you. You think about once it leaves here, once this old tongue spits it out, you can't take it back, no matter what you think. But it says, put off wrath and malice. Wrath, that's just more anger right there. Malice is trying to say, well, he done something to me, so I'm just going to do something to him. You know, that's the way a lot of times we think. We're human beings, and we all make mistakes. I'm like Lawrence said there this morning, I pray each night when I go to bed, and each morning when I wake up, Lord, if I have done anything wrong, you please forgive me, Lord. Please forgive me, because I would never do anything wrong to anyone. But before I go, I think about people that walk up, and I don't walk to the casket. There's just something about a casket. My dad, I've just never got over my dad. But they'll walk up to that casket and, boy, old Butch was a good guy. I really liked him. He done all the good things. He done all the things we were supposed to do, and they're real subtle with their language and stuff. And they sit there and they just build you up. Why don't you build them up when they're here where they can hear it? Why don't you tell people? We don't tell people what we think of people. We don't tell people we love them. I have failed my boy so bad. Why I didn't. Scott come to me and he said, Dad, he said, you need to go to church up there. What, 11 years ago, 12 years ago. You need to go to church up there. Why, Scott? He said, Dad, you'll like the preacher. He preaches the way you want to hear it. And I've been here ever since. Thank you for it. I took a little hiatus, but I'm going to tell you right now, it never left me here. It's like we talked this morning about our different churches. I'll get into that before I go any farther. I'll think about that. I was thinking about it when we was talking there this morning. We talk about churches. We have the Pentecost, have a Catholic, got the Baptist, Church of Christ, Church of God. Boy, just think all the churches. Man, we get to heaven, just think there's going to be a church everywhere. No, there's not. There's going to be one church. And we're all going to be one body. And that's the way it has to be. One body. We can't worry about what the Baptists think, or we can't worry about what the Catholics think. We've got to worry about what Jesus Christ thinks about us this morning. And that's what we have to worry about.
Amen.
We have to do the things that He wants us to do. We have to be an example for Him. We have to set a light for Him. I'm like somebody said here this morning, every time I talk to them two boys of mine, you've got to go to church. And they're going to be tired of hearing it. But that's okay, because if we don't say something to them, Ethel Sue will tell you before she and I started really getting on to our boys about going to church, you never heard from my brothers, from my sisters. You never heard anything about a church. I've got two sisters that's got a foul mouth. Ethel Sue and I spent a whole day with them. A whole day. And not one foul word comes from their mouth.
Right. That's
because they respect that you're a Christian. And now you think about that. But if you just walk in and you sit down, you don't do nothing.
Right.
You don't put a light out in this world for people to see. How are you ever going to get them in church this morning? You got to put your light out there. Let people see. Lie not one to another, seeing that ye have put off the old man with his deeds. Lie. We've talked about this in church before. And I was thinking about this as I was studying yesterday evening, and I was thinking about a lie. And I was thinking about, first of all, I was thinking about, well, I'm going to use a couple people's names when I do this, but the Lord told me I better not do that. So we'll talk about Mary Jane, okay? You know something on Mary Jane. You know something that's not real nice. It's, it's not real nice. When somebody comes to you and says, I seen Mary Jane. Do you know what she? And you know, but you don't want to say. You don't want to say anything. Well, I'm always say, well, I don't know. Then you come down the road here, and he's talking to another guy, and he said, I seen old Bob out there last night. He was in the beer joint. He come out there carrying a beer, and I'm pretty sure he was drunk. But you know in your heart that Bob was home last night. Now, I want to ask you one thing. The whole point of the thing is, which lie is the worst? Which lie is a lie? Is this a little tiny, teeny lie, or is it a big old lie? A lie is a lie. Don't care how you put it. Don't care what you say. A lie is a lie. If teeny or large, it doesn't matter. And there's a lot of times I don't say anything when people ask me stuff. But I used to say, well, I don't know. And have put on the new man which is renewed in knowledge after the image of him that created him. Where there is neither Greek nor Jew, circumcision nor uncircumcision, barbarian, Scythian, bond nor free, but Christ is all and in all. He is in every one of us. Do you know Jesus Christ is in the biggest sinner in this world this morning? But do you know what that sinner needs? Sure. He needs for somebody to shine a light to him. Somebody to make him see, to give him the desire that he needs to have to want to come to church. You can't just go out here and say, Bob, you need to go to church. You need to go to church. Tell them why they need to go to church. Not just go to church. Tell why. Tell them how happy they can be. You just think about the difference. I'd ask each and every one of you in here this morning, you ask yourself, before you turned yourself over to Jesus Christ, what was your life like? I could cuss with the best of them. Think about the things that you've done, that right now, if a foul word would come, I wouldn't know what to do. My mom, she could make a preacher blush. And my dad was a preacher. Think about that. Think about how much Jesus Christ has changed us this morning. Think about what he's done. I look at Pat, and I just love Pat. I just love the way it's the seared growth and how she's done and how she's learned. But that's what we have to do. As we're out in the world and we're talking to people, and no matter how bad a Christian they are, they'll stop and they'll listen to you. They'll stop. I used to talk to a guy at work, and he was a pretty rough guy. But I could start talking to him about the Bible, and he would stop and listen to me. But that's what we've got to do. Turn our lights on. Let people see us. Put on therefore as the elect of God, holy and beloved, vows of mercies, kindness, humbleness of mind, meekness, and long suffering. Vows of mercy. How many of us show mercy? How many of us show mercy this morning? Think about that. You see people, guy driving down the road 40 miles an hour in the fast lane. I ain't got much mercy for that guy. But think about the mercy. How much mercy we show to people. How much do we, I see people do things that then I think, my God, why would you do that?
True.
Why? What is the reason? It's like being mad at someone. You get mad at someone and you're just all tore up and mad. I could choke them till their tongue flew out. And whatever. And you could, because you're mad. But if you think about it, when you're mad, who are you hurting? If I'm talking about Lawrence here, Lawrence, he just aggravates me to death. I just can't stand to be around him. Does that hurt Lawrence? No. That hurts you. You're taking your glory away from you. We always talk about people, but I always try to talk about people in a good light. I always try to see the good in everybody. And I would pray that everyone would kind of see the good in me. You know, I sat down last night and I made all these notes. I haven't looked at them yet. He says, forbearing one another, forgiving one another. I used to work with a guy that probably in my lifetime could make me as angry as anyone I've ever met. I have been up on his desk with my hands and knees in his face cussing him. But do you know he's one of my friends on Facebook right now? Do you know that he goes to church, he's a Christian? We think about that. If we don't know what people are, we don't have to understand what people do. And the light that we give off, and I sure didn't give off a very good light. But we have to forget what's behind us. You know, I could say, man, I wish I hadn't said that, or I wish I hadn't done that.
True.
But it doesn't change it. It's done. Go on from it. Learn from it. Learn from your mistakes. He says, above all these things, put on charity, which is the bond of perfection.
Exactly.
Boy, I think about charity. And I think about what charity is. And as soon as I find this little note here, I'm going to read this to you. He said, now by the faith, hope, charity, these three. But the greatest of these is charity. Now, we think about charity, we think about giving to the United Way or to a church or to someone that can use the money or things like that. But how about if I come up to you this morning and I said, man, I need $100. I need it bad. Okay, you said, well, I got $100, I'll give it to you. And then as soon as I walk out the door, you go over and say, man, you know, I just had to loan Butch $100. While you're in the church, he come up and asked me for $100. Now, what kind of charity is that this morning?
True.
Way I know, just that's how I look at it. If you was to come up to me and say, Butch, I need $100. First thing I'd laugh at you because I don't carry that much money. But anyway, if you come up to me and said, Butch, I want to borrow $100, I won't loan you $100. I'll give you $100 if I've got it. Yes or no, I will. But in the same respect, I give it to you. If you pay it back, then great. If you don't be like people I know. Talk about them to everybody they get around. There's no charity in that. There's no charity. When you loan something to someone, you're being charitable. You know, you're trying to help them, not give them something so you can have something to talk about. Heaven's sakes alive. We spend so much time talking about people instead of talking about the things we need to be talking about. And let the peace of God rule in your hearts, to which ye also are called in one body, and be ye thankful. And again, I come back and I think about the church, and I think about all the different churches. Many of us who have been blessed, we've preached in a lot of different churches in my short ministry. But we have been fortunate enough to go to different churches, different denominations, just different churches with different people and different things. But you know what? What I think most about, it ain't written what's on that door right there. That don't mean nothing. That don't mean, what means something, this thing right here. This is what you preach out of. You stay in this and everything's going to be all right. It's when you start wandering away from this, instead of doing what you're supposed to be doing, you start putting your own self ahead. I pray, Lord, please never let me get the credit for anything you ask me to do, Lord. You take all the credit. And if I can please you, I have done what I've asked for you. Lord, if I can touch one person each time I get up and stand before you, Lord, I have done what you've asked me to do. One person out of what, 51 people that were here. But you never think about that. If you could touch one person, one more. Yep. One more. And that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. That's how we build our church. That's how we grow and we do well. I preached at the first church down here. Usually there's 10 people come there, and then that's 2 of them. Some weeks there's only 8. But I promise you this, I'll preach just as hard to those 8 or those 10 as I will to 50, because that's my responsibility. That is what my God has asked me to do. Good. I sometimes wonder why he asked in old dumb country before to try to do anything. But let the word of Christ dwell in you richly in all wisdom, teaching admonishing in psalms and hymns, spiritual songs, singing with grace in your hearts to the Lord, with admonishing one another. What do you think about urging one another? Do we urge one another? Do we build one another up? If we don't build each other up, what are we? What are we? If we don't turn our light on it, we step out that door. In here, it's easy. It's easy here. You look. Look at all the people here in this church this morning. I don't think there's a person here that's not a Christian this morning. It's easy to talk to a Christian, talk to a sinner. We think about the grave of death, and I think this morning I was sitting there and I was looking at something, and my phone rang. And one of my first cousins had just passed away. He said he thought he was 54 years old. I want you to think about that this morning. Think about, I don't know how old he is. Yeah, that side of my family, we're unfortunately not around. I've never been around him much. Do you ever think about dying? Never will forget one time, I was talking to a man, I was a little boy. And people don't understand, most of us people here today understand how things were when we were young. But he looked at me and he was talking this big serious talk to me, and he said, Butch, you ever think about dying? Did you ever truly think about dying? We can say, well, sure, I thought about it. But suppose this morning you went to the hospital and the doctor said, well, you've had a serious heart attack. You've had a stroke that you may not never recover from. Are you prepared? Have you burned your light bright enough this morning that Jesus Christ is ready to accept you? You think about that. What do I do? I always ask this as I say, you think about that too much. But in the same respect, I want you to think about things. Think about what you should do as a Christian. We take too much for granted in this world. When I was very home baby, I never thought that I'd never see him again other than he was in the grave. I never thought about that. And why I never went to see him is beyond me. I just don't know. And I wouldn't lie. And that's my responsibility. We all have responsibilities to the church. And whatsoever you do in word or deed, do also in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, giving thanks to God and the Father by him. And that's what we have to do. We have to thank Jesus Christ this morning that he died on that cross for us so we can have a car to drive and we can have all the things that we have in this world that we just take for granted each and every day. It can all be taken away from us. We can all be out here on the street tomorrow.
Amen.
The way our country has went,
Help.
it is so sad. It just saddens me. Let's get to something good here. Wives. Wives. How many wives are there in here? A whole bunch of you in there. Submit yourself to your own husband as it is fit with the Lord. Told Elsa this morning was talking about a person that had messed around with her, had done some things they shouldn't have done. And we was trying to say, why can you do that? How can you do that? How can you come home and face someone for two? Well, I think about one day when he opens up the book of life, and he looks in that book, and you've got to look Jesus Christ in the face, and he looks at you and says, why? What are you going to say? What are you going to do? Think about that this morning. Because someday we're all going to stand before judgment. Husbands. Heaven's sake, we got some husbands in here too. Love your wives. Be not bitter against them. Like I said, I love my wife. Man, me and her will be married 50 years this summer, and I love her as much today as I did 50 years ago. Probably more so. But I promise you, if we get to working together on something, one of us is going to be in the bedroom away from the other. That's just the way it is. But we have to love our wives. We have to love our husbands. We have to love one another. We not only have to love our husband or our wife, we have to love everybody for what they are. That's another thing I always, Lord, let me accept people for what they are, not what I want them to be. Sometimes we want people to be something that we're not. Amen. Oh, leave it to Roger. He said, children, obey your parents in all things, for this is well pleasing unto the Lord. You know, if we raise our children right and we teach them right, we'll have good people. You know, I look at our kids today and I watch the things they do, and it saddens me to see our kids do the things that they do. It's just so sad to see we have let drugs take our nation over. We have stood back and just let them take it. We need to stand up as a church. We need to stand up as a group and get this world straightened up. We've got to be a light in this world. And Roger, we wasn't talking about anybody either. We were discussing what they I know what you're telling me.
One day we might love them like this, one day we
Tomorrow.
might be like that.
Amen. Just like me, that's true. I love her all the time. I love her all the time, even when I'm mad at her. And I mean that. But there's sometimes she'd like to choke me. He said, servants, obey in all things your master according to the flesh, not with eye service as men pleasers, but in singleness of heart, fearing God. You know, you take that word men pleasers. Today we have so many people that are worried about pleasing me or you. They're not worried about pleasing Jesus Christ. You think about that today. How many people do things just so they can put this big front on for you? Just, I cannot get you anywhere. The only person that's going to get you in heaven is you. I don't care if I stood up here and I fell through this floor. I'm not going to get you to heaven. You're going to get yourself to heaven, or you're not going to go. And I don't want to be up there standing in front of Jesus Christ and he look me in the face and say, look, why did you do this?
Are you going to heaven?
Eye service.
That's it.
And it comes right back. It all means the same thing. We worry too much about doing what we should do and pleasing men and people. We all want to please everybody. I want to make my boys proud of me. I want to have Sue be proud of me. I want everyone to know that I do the things I should do. But we all do. It's not just me. And whatsoever you do, do it heartily as to the Lord, and not unto men. What Paul's trying to tell us here is, don't worry. Make sure you're right with God. Make sure you're right with Jesus Christ this morning. You can't, nobody's going to get you there. You got to get yourself there. And that's just what it's all about. Knowing that the Lord shall receive the reward, ye shall receive the reward of inheritance, for ye serve the Lord Christ. What is our reward this morning? That's right, amen. And that's what we all strive for each and every day. We all strive for one day to when He's going to call us out of that old grave. He's going to meet us in the air. He's going to give us a new body. We're not going to have no aches and pains. We're not going to have arthritis in our hands. We're not going to have nothing. We're going to have a glorified body, just like He's got. Think about a glorified body. But he that doeth wrong shall receive for the wrong for which he has done, for there is no respect of person. If you want to give us a song, Roger, be ready here. And he says in Romans, he tells us, for there is no respect of person with God. You know, do you think God respects a white guy more than he does a black guy? Or a Chinese man? Whatever. He doesn't. There is no respect of man with God. We all should remember that. I hope this morning that we've come across in a way that you can understand. And I pray each time, it's like I always say, Lord, let me do and say the things that you'd have me to do and say. And let me give you the glory. Because Jesus Christ deserves all the glory. He hung on that old cross of Calvary. He died for us. True. Just think about that. Think about that this morning. No greater love has any man that will lay down his life for another. Think about truth. We'll give us a song here. If everybody get Roger going here. Thank you, God. You know, if there's anyone here this morning that's not right with Jesus Christ, come forward. Don't wait till he steps out there on that cloud this morning. Don't wait till he calls us home. Be prepared to meet him. Be prepared to meet him in the air. It's easy to sit back.
Okay, Roger, what page?
He's getting there.
165.
Page 165, if you would, in the red book.
Get my help on